So too many rules undermines the development of the skill that you need to be wise, and too much reliance on incentives undermines the will that you need to be wise. And again, all of these efforts to reform systems were well-intentioned. They were not designed to make the systems worse. They were designed to make the systems better. And they may make the systems better in the short run, but they create a problem which guarantees that the systems will be worse in the long run. So, what about wise Googlers? So, don't be evil is just not enough. It's better to have that watchword than not to have it. I agree. But all that does is tell you what not to do. And it's sometimes useful to have negative instructions, know what pitfalls to avoid. But the question is, what should you be doing? What is it that Google can do or that you can do that actually improves the quality of life of individuals and the quality of life in a whole society? This is an extremely important question that should always be at the forefront of your minds. Focus on the user. What does your user want? And more important, from my point of view, what does your user need? Give people what they need, even if they don't necessarily know that that's what they need. This requires the kind of empathy that I was talking about a few minutes ago. You can't figure out what people need unless you understand them, and you can't understand them unless you know them. One thing, as an aside, that I'll suggest is that focus groups are almost remarkable in how useless they are, no matter what you're trying to study, because focus groups assume that people can tell you what's wrong and what's right, and in general, people can't tell you what's wrong and what's right. They don't understand themselves well enough to be helpful, even if they're trying to be. You have to watch what people do and not so much what people say. Keep an eye always on developing technology that is values-driven. Keep an eye always on what the telos, what the goal, what the purpose of the organization is. That needs always to be in mind. And what's important here is that it needs to be embodied in the day-to-day practices of the people who are actually doing the work. You know, these great speeches that CEOs make about how they're interested in serving the community are received with complete cynicism by their workforces, who know that they're going to be expected to make margins quarter by quarter in their area. And the CEO isn't going to give a damn how those margins get made as long as they get made. So the trick is to make sure that the telos of the organization, the mission of the organization, is actually embodied in the day-to-day practices of the organization. And lastly, fail early and often. I gather this is not foreign to people who work at Google. There's an enormous benefit to failure. Trial and error and mentoring by people who have already failed early and often are, as far as I know, the only route to wise decisions and wise practices. And so you need a culture in which people are encouraged to fail, with, I should point out, somebody looking over their shoulder to make sure that none of these failures are completely catastrophic. I don't think surgical residents should be given the freedom to fail when they start doing open heart surgery. You want to make sure that the patients don't die en route to their becoming skilled surgeons. The last point I'll make is that I think that if we refocus ourselves on the importance of wisdom, it can become self-sustaining. Once we are clued into why wisdom is important to get us the schools, the hospitals, the technology companies that we want and need, it will keep itself going. And here's why. What we know about happiness and its determinants is that there are two most important determinants of happiness. The two most important determinants of well-being are close connections to other people, a network of meaningful and close social relations, and meaning and purpose in your daily work. Freud had it right, though for the wrong reasons, when he said that life is all about love and work. Life is pretty much all about love and work. And what Ken Sharp and I believe is that you can't have good, meaningful, close relations to other people, and you can't do meaningful, purpose-driven work unless you have developed the practical wisdom that enables you to figure out what people need and then how to provide it. So once people become wise, their work goes better, their relationships go better, they get more and more eager to get up in the morning and do tomorrow more or less what they've done today, and that makes it self-sustaining. Thank you very much.